Hello everyone. So let's see. Okay, in our previous sessions, we have already seen how to create a layout, how to export the data to, how to export the layout as an AFL to the project setup station, and how to get the results basically. But now let's going next step in an Abbyy is the requirement is I have one project to create. It is just like I need to create only one project, but there are different types of layouts inside of the same project. Let's consider the same invoice which we have covered in our previous session. So there is something called this invoice from one company, and this will be an invoice from another company, right? But my customer requirement is whatever the different layouts or whatever it comes in a different ways, I don't care. I need to see the results in a single output channel. So, and definitely the structure also would be the same thing, because since we are working with the invoices, we might require the same set of data from each and every different vendors of the invoices. So how are we going to handle such kind of scenarios? So how are we able to add different layouts to the same project is the main agenda of today's call, right? So here we already have one layout, which is a search element, and we already have extracted the values for the specific elements. And also I have created blocks for each and every values which has been extracted for this specific layout. So now my requirement is I have a new set of documents, or I have a new set of invoices which has come from the new vendor. I have to add that specific vendor or the new set of documents to the existing project. How can I do that? So for that, so this is my input file, which is quite different from the previous one. So what I can just do is like, I'll just go here to the train, that is my project, and we can just right click on this, and we have an option called add flexi layout alternative, or it is also called import flexi layout alternative. So there are multiple ways. How are we going to handle that? So what we can just do is, while developing any of the layouts, we can just distribute our work, each and every layout, to the single developers. And once they are done with the layout extractions and the designing, one person can migrate all of them into the single project just by importing the flexi layout alternatives, which has been designed by the different developers. But if you're the only developer and if you want to add new layouts, what you can just do is like, you can just go ahead and add new flexi layout here. So for this, I'm just going to name it as 123 example business one. Okay, so it is not going to take the number at the beginning. I can take example 123 is a company name. And here I do not have this company name, so I'll just take the company name itself as a company name, right? Yes, so it will not take the spaces. So for this, how are we going to differentiate when it comes to the company names, and how are we going to differentiate the different types of vendors is by using a header, footer, and the required element. So here, if you just look at that, we have taken this header as a invoices. And also here, in this also we do have an invoice. But now the layout or the OCR engine will get confused if when it is finding invoice in both of them. So there might be a chances where it go and match with both of them. So here we need to make sure this is going to match whenever we are serving the sample to the hot folder or to the OCR engine. It is going to match for only this, but not the other layout. So how can we make sure about this is we can just go ahead and add another static required element like example business. So you just have to make sure you are going to find one unique required element for each and every different type of the layouts which you are going to create. So since this is the one unique element which is not available in another layout, I'm just picking up this. So you can just identify one such kind of unique and a required element. Required element is nothing but it will be always available in all the different number of samples of that specific type. And I have just made this as a required, apply, okay, control save and control E. So, okay, so for now, this is working fine, correct? But so there is one option here. So here, if you just look at this, that I have an invoice and I have not defined anything, which will be maybe even if I'm not added anything, if I go ahead and do control E, this is going for company name. That is correct. So now, even though we have an invoice here, it is not identifying with the example 1 to 3 because we have added a actual required element for the example 1 to 3, that is the company name. So here what I can just do, go ahead and do here, I can just go ahead and add a couple of the values. Add element, static text, and I'll make it as a company name. And I'll make this as a required unique element for this specific layout. Company name. In the relation, I can just go ahead nearest to the page top edge, apply, okay, control save, control E. I got the company name, and also I can just go ahead and add invoice. Why invoice is required is because there might be a chances where we are getting along with the invoices, there might be some other kind of files which will be received from the same company, like something like a billing firm, some other billing or some other attested copy of some address or any such kind of things we might receive. So here is what we have got, and we have differentiated successfully. So if I just go ahead and extract this, it is absolutely just going straight to the example 1 2 3, and this one is coming to the company name. And if I just control A and control E, so it is automatically picking. So you can just look here, which is the matched alternative is company name and the example. So this is how you can add multiple layouts to the single project, and you by using the required element and also by using the prohibited elements, the combination of these two elements is going to define which is the layout which we are going to identify, or which is the specific different layouts it's going to pick it up. As soon as you, even though you feed the different samples to the same hot folder or same input file, which has to generate a single output and which needs to be mapped in the single project. So you just got to know like how are we going to create a layout, alternative layouts to the same project. Along with that, how are we going to map the different values to the same file or to the output? So let's see that. So for that, I'm just going to quickly add few elements. So I'm just going to take a date, surviving hypothesis as 1, static text as date, relation, add below of the bottom of the invoice, and above of the bottom of minus 300, add right of the company name, apply, okay. And I'm just going to pick invoice number as well, invoice number, VOICE invoice ashcore. And here along with that, I'm just going to add one more thing below of the bottom of the date. I'm just going to mention -10. Add relation, apply, okay. And I'll just do Control E and I got this. So let me just quickly create two more values. Add elements, character string, date value. String, I'm just going to pick whatever it comes for now. Relation, above the bottom of the date with -25, below of the top, and also I can just add right of the date. And relation, apply and okay, and I'll just do Control E and I got the date value. So let me pick the same thing for the invoice value. Invoice value, and I'm just going to add the relation with respect to the invoice number. And I'll be able to add one more as the invoice number, and below of the bottom of the date value with -10. Save changes, apply, okay, and I'll do Control E. So I got the invoice value. So if you just look at this, we do have the date, invoice date, and the invoice number in this layout. And also we have the same values in this layout, right? So how are we going to define with respect to the dates? Or here in the invoice number, this has been mapped with respect to example 1, 2, 3. So now what I can just do is like I can pick the company name, layout, and click on the source element and select the invoice value. Apply, okay. And I'll pick up the invoice date. I'll pick up the company date. I'm going to map the date value. So this is how, as soon as you started adding the alternative layouts, those alternative layouts will be available for you to mapping here to each and every element which you have created. That's how you can just go ahead and create all the elements in the whole layout and then map the all values from the each and every different alternative layouts you have created. But here you have to make sure about you are going to have the required elements and also the prohibited elements so that it is not going to match. So if I just consider, so I'll just show you one very simple thing. I'll just do Control Alt D and I'm just going to disable this, and also I think I have to disable this. So here, if you just look at this, I have not added the company name as a required element. I just added a invoice as a required element. But here also you have an invoice. Here also you have an invoice, right? But if you have not added this company name or whatever the specific required element for that specific layout, there might be a chances. So here we are able to see it is actually matching to the company name properly. But if I do not have the mentioned properly, what it also can lead is option. I can choose this. Example 1, 2, 3. Okay, here it is not matching because we have some required elements as a table values. If I just go ahead and make this as an optional, And also if I just make this another group as an optional, you will be able to see the different layout was able to match. See, so here this will be a confusion. So you might have created a different layouts for each and every different vendors or different types of samples, but how are you going to make sure it is going to match to that specific layout and it is not going to match any of the other alternative layouts is by using a required elements and the prohibited elements. So that's why I was just stressing in our very initial sessions that what is the required element, what is the difference between the required element and what is the difference between the specific optional and the prohibited is the main reason of this, right? So just to make sure about these things, you guys have to take care of having the required element is so much important, and also how are we going to define all of them is going to take a very important role when we are defining each and every alternative layouts and when we are mapping that to the single block. So now let's see how it is going to generate an output and how we can actually see what is the layout which is matching, right? So I'm just going to export this for now. So okay, I'm just going to add train 0813. Do not create administration station. File, open project. Downloads, train, admin. I'm going to pick the admin project. Project, document definition. I'm just going to update this layout with the new layout which we have just exported. This PC, downloads, training, and this one. Open, update. Okay. Once you're done with the update, now you want to know, so since we have two different vendors, so now there might be also a requirement that the business wants to know which is the specific layout it is matching, from which specific vendor they are receiving the invoices. For that, what you can just do is here in the document section, you can just right click and then do a create field, and in the create field you can select the service fields. So there are set of service fields which are defined from the UI, from the Abbyy itself, where it is going to give you a default values where you don't have to define anything. So for that, I'm just going to pick it Flexi Layout alternative name, apply. And also if you want to just know like from which specific sample it is working with, what is the sample name and all of those things, you can again check the service field and select the image source and click on apply and okay, and you can click on save, close this and publish. Yes. So let's see, now I'm just going to sorry, project document definition, load. I'm just going to pick one of the samples, this PC, downloads, train. I'm going to pick one of the sample, yeah, and load the Flexi Layout, this one. Next, okay. So here I'm just going to add service fields, create field, service field. I'm going to pick the alternative, apply. Okay, and I'm just going to create one more with the image source. Apply. Okay, close. Yes, it has been saved. Publish. Yes, close. So here I'm just going to import both the files at the same time. So that is 1 and 2. Open. So background mode as I added, started. The task image, adding image has been started. So we just added both of them. And if you just look at this is the first company name. So in this, we just extracted only 2. So for the type of the company name, we just defined the one which we have created. Let me fit into the sample. Yeah. So in this specific sample, we just created 2 fields and only those 2 fields are extracting. And if you just want to know which is the service field, so that is the company name. And company name is the alternative layout which has been extracted. And which is the source, what is the sample name, which you will be able to get it from here. This is with respect to the company name, and also this one is with respect to the first invoice which is able to extract all the values. And if you just scroll down, you will be able to see which is the layout which is matching and what is the sample which is actually processing at that particular point of time. So this is how you can just go ahead and add any number of alternative layouts to the single project, where you will be able to add those different values which has been extracted, which can be mapped to the single output, and you will be able to generate one single output structure from the Abbyy, even though you are dealing with the multiple layouts and multiple different types of samples which you will be receiving. So this is the concept for today, how to handle the different layouts, how to handle the different samples from the different vendors to the single project, how can we go with that, and how to differentiate to that specific layout, or how to do the classification. Basically, it comes under the classification of the documents inside of an Abbyy. So this is how it works. So please let me know if you guys have any questions with respect to this. Maybe in our next coming session, we can just go ahead and more deeper about how are we going to use the prohibited elements to make sure things are working fine. And then how to divide a whole page into the different layouts, or how can we divide the pages into the regions, and how to pick that values from that specific region, which we will be looking for them in our upcoming sessions. So any questions so far?
I think we are good.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashmit.
Thank you so much for an interesting session. Guys, if you have any doubts, as always, you can post in comments and we will definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye. See you.